Hey, it's Tom
And Mike.
from Take Time to Travel.
We had an amazing time on our week-long vacation in Paris. But one of the highlights of our holiday was actually on our day trip to the outskirts of the city, where we toured the incredibly lavish Palace of Versailles and walked its beautiful and extensive gardens.
After that, we tried some delicious crepes just outside the gates. And then we explored the picturesque French avenues of the quaint town of Versailles. It sure was a spectacular day.
And we'd love to share it with you. So, without further ado, let's go through the gates and check it out.
The World Heritage Site, the Palace of Versailles, was originally built in several phases by King Louis XIV starting in 1661 until 1715. The palace now contains 2,300 rooms spread over about 680,000 square feet.
We decided to go to the palace bright and early and arrived about 45 minutes before our 9 a.m. tickets, which we had purchased online in advance. It didn't take long for this massive line to form. We're sure glad that we got in line early to beat the worst of it. But there were still quite a few people ahead of us.
After we went through security and scanned our tickets, we walked through the royal courtyard towards the main entrance. Then we made our way inside and down the beautiful column-lined hallway over to the ground floor of the spectacular Royal Chapel. What a magnificent looking space.
As we kept going, we passed by galleries filled with artwork. Each gallery room that we walked into seemed to be more impressive than the last.
Just look at the height of the ceilings, the width of the moldings, and the size of the artwork. Stunning. But let's keep going. There's more to see.
Continuing to walk out of the galleries, we arrived in this beautiful room, which had the shop of the chapel underneath this gorgeous ceiling. This room sure was ornate, but wait until you see the view from the second floor of the Royal Chapel.
What a spectacular looking building. Love the gold frescoes on the huge vaulted ceiling of the chapel. The lines of columns are pretty impressive looking too. Continuing along, just next to the Royal Chapel, there was this expansive space called the Hercules Salon. Completed in 1736, it was used by King Louis XV as a ballroom. Love the ceiling in here.
As we explored the rest of Versailles, we entered the Venus Room, which was used for serving light meals during evening receptions, but it still had an exceptionally ornate ceiling.
As we kept going, we entered into the Diana Room, which under Louis XIV served as a billiards room during evening gatherings. The beautiful artwork on the ceiling depicts scenes from the life of Diana, the Greek goddess of the hunt. Next, we entered the Mars Room, which had various uses over the years, including as a concert room, a gambling room, and as a room for royal guards.
After that was the Mercury Room, which was originally the royal bedchamber, just one of the many rooms in the King's state apartment, although the bed was removed early on in the winter to make room for the games tables.
Following that darker room, we entered the War Room, which pays tribute to the military victories that ended the Dutch War, and is the room that enters into the breathtaking Hall of Mirrors. The 73-meter-long hall pays tribute to the political, economic, and artistic success of France, and is covered with 357 mirrors reflecting the 17 arches opposite the windows.
Of course, we had to take a selfie in this spectacular hall. The opulent ceiling is exquisite. But what really makes this huge hall so impressive is that during the 17th century, mirrors were an expensive luxury product. So, to have over 350 mirrors lining this massive gallery really flaunted the king's wealth.
At the far end of the Hall of Mirrors, you'll find the Peace Room, which is symmetrical to the War Room, but the cupola and arches are decorated with themes of peace instead. Still, our favorite section of Versailles is definitely the Hall of Mirrors. It's absolutely stunning.
Then, we entered into the Queen's bedchamber, where 19 royal children were born underneath this spectacular ornate gold-coffered ceiling. Afterwards, we wandered through the Queen's Guard Room, where 12 of the Queen's Guards were on duty day and night.
The adjoining room, called the Coronation Room, is devoted to the glory of Napoleon Bonaparte. In the center stands the column from the German campaign, surrounded by artwork devoted to Napoleon. But let's keep going.
As we strolled along, listening to the audio guide, we found ourselves in the biggest room of Versailles, called the Gallery of Great Battles. What an immense space! It covers almost the entire first floor of the south wing and depicts nearly 15 centuries of French military successes through 30 or so paintings, as well as a series of 80 busts of officers killed in combat lining the 120-meter-long gallery.
What an incredible place to walk through. Love the ornate gold trim work covering the arches and the dome. The scale of this place really is awe-inspiring, but there's more to see, so let's keep exploring more of the palace.
After we walked through this long hallway lined with many statues, sculptures, and busts, we made our way outside to explore the extensive gardens of Versailles. It was raining a little bit, but that didn't stop us.
The exterior of the Palace of Versailles is spectacular, just like the interior. But the property also boasts beautiful gardens which cover some 800 hectares of land. So make sure to bring good walking shoes when you visit.
The lovely Orangerie Parterre covers about 3 hectares, consisting of 4 meticulously groomed grass sections surrounding a circular pool in the middle. Very pretty. In the winter, they store these 1,055 containers of various trees and bushes, including orange trees, palm trees, and pomegranate trees, inside this massive building. Very cool. Just beside the Orangerie, we saw the Queen's Grove Garden. That pathway seems to stretch on forever.
Next, we came across these steps overlooking Latona's fountain and parterre, and past that, all the way down to the Grand Canal of Versailles. What an expansive view! On the other side of Latona's parterre, we found this cool area called the Girandole Grove Garden. Let's head through these huge manicured hedges and check it out.
Walking through the tree-lined promenade was serene and really relaxing. Love all the different pathways branching off far into the distance in all directions. As we kept walking along the trail, we found this cute little area, which had the restrooms in this cool rustic log-clad building, as well as this other quaint structure, which was La Girandole Café. It serves sandwiches, salads, hot dishes, crepes, and ice creams, and also has a couple of pretty little outdoor seating areas, but we're going to grab some tasty crepes in town shortly. So let's keep going and check out some more of the gardens.
Coming out of the Girandole Grove, we found the Mirror Pool. Originally commissioned by Louis XIV in around 1702, the Mirror Pool now has a lovely fountain show where water dances in time to classical music. Very pretty. As we continued to explore the expansive gardens, we came across the Colonnade Grove, construction of which started in 1685. It's composed of 32 marble columns surrounding a group of sculpted figures. Very impressive.
We also saw Apollo's Fountain, which, unfortunately, due to the drought, wasn't running, but it still does look nice.
As we walked further along beautiful tree-lined pathways, we stumbled across the picturesque Enceladus Grove, which is surrounded by this gorgeous lattice-covered walkway, where you can walk underneath the lovely vine-covered trellis pathway, which encircles the spectacular fountain in the middle. The Enceladus Grove sure is charming. Love all the greenery covering the lattice arches and the interesting fountain sculpture in the middle, depicting the fall of the giants in Greek and Roman mythology. What a photogenic area.
After that, we walked along the massive manicured hedge-lined promenades, as well as strolled down some smaller winding pathways, which opened up to this lovely grotto called Apollo's Baths Grove. There's normally a central pool as well as waterfalls, but again, due to the drought, it wasn't operating. So let's keep going. We have a lunch reservation to catch just outside the palace gates. Even though we spent a couple hours exploring, we still didn't see all of the gardens of Versailles.
After we left the Palace of Versailles, we crossed over the tree-lined Avenue Nepveu and went to get some crepes. at Crêperie La Place, which is just across the street from the palace. Let's head inside. We've worked up an appetite after all that walking. The interior of the creperie is nice, light, and bright with some funky tropical green wallpaper.
After we sat down, we started with a couple of drinks. I got the bowl of cider, which was included with the Formule Midi lunch menu, and Tom got a Coke Zero with ice to drink. Also with the Formule Midi, I chose La Savoyard Galette with Reblochon cheese, potatoes, bacon bits, onions, and green salad. Tom got La Caprese Galette with mozzarella, marinated grilled eggplant, marinated artichokes, basil, fresh goat cheese, salad, and confit tomatoes. Then, for dessert, we shared La Caribou Crepe with bananas, maple syrup, vanilla ice cream, and whipped cream, which was included with my Formule Midi lunch menu.
We thought that the dessert crepe as well as our galettes were exceptional, and we felt they were a great value as well. If it's a nice day outside, you can also check out Crêperie La Place's beautiful terrace. It's surrounded by trees and has views of the Palace of Versailles.
But we're going to go in the other direction, over towards Place Hoche Square, and head into the town of Versailles to explore its quaint French streets.
In the middle of Place Hoche, there were some lovely little flower gardens as well as a monument of General Hoche. But let's keep exploring and make our way down the quaint Rue Carnot. What an attractive looking street.
As we continued to walk down the street, we found this interesting looking Rue des Deux Portes, so of course, we had to go check it out.
Walking down the quaint little Rue des Deux Portes, we passed by shops and cafes, and towards the end of the walking street, there were lots of people out enjoying the lovely weather on the patios lining both sides of the street. What a picturesque place to relax.
And then, when we came out from Rue des Deux Portes, we were greeted by lots more beautiful patios lining Rue aux Pains.
Continuing our stroll along Rue aux Pains, or Bread Street, we passed by tons more restaurants and bistros with attractive patios filled with happy customers. And further around the square, on Rue André Chenier, we found even more inviting patios.
Over at the far side of the square, opposite to where we started, we found the Notre Dame Market, which only had some clothing, handbags, and luggage stands open during the weekday when we went. On the weekend, it's a bustling market with vendors selling pastries, local cheeses, and seasonal produce from the many indoor and outdoor stalls. It was a delight exploring the town of Versailles, with the picturesque little walking streets, the many bustling patios, as well as the delicious food. And of course, we loved touring the magnificent Palace of Versailles and its expansive gardens, sculptures, and fountains.
As always, we really enjoyed making today's video, and we hope you enjoyed watching it too. If you did, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on our future videos. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps our channel to grow.
And remember, take time to travel. Catch you on the next one.